Hello again, Kevin Cole, PM Head of Cloud Management Solutions here at Supermicro, continuing our podcast on Super Cloud Composer. And what we're focused in the previous video was on NVL72 rack configurations. Today we're going to talk about the GB300. In the previous video, we talked about the GB200 configuration. NVIDIA is bringing out the next generation of these particular compute trays in their rack configuration, and we are providing the complete lifecycle management for those racks. So let's get down into the nitty gritty here and talk about the GB300. What's different here is really the compute tray. Pretty much the rack configuration is somewhat the same. NVIDIA is focusing on various different APIs that are available around enforcement policy, which we will expose in the next particular phase of our PowerShelf configuration when we release our next release. So the GB200 and 300 is all supported now in the SEC version 3.11 release, which will soon go into production in about 2 weeks' time. It's in System Lab validation. I reached out to our System Lab validation team to see if I could get a sneak preview of what they're doing there in the lab to be able to support us and make sure that when the release goes out, it's completely validated and there's no bugs associated with the configuration. All right, so let's dig into it. We have two NVL72 GB300 configurations here. One is somewhat not populated. This one here is somewhat populated. So we will take a look at that one. And you can see here by what we have, the front and rear view of the rack configuration. Our SKU images are quite not available yet. We're working on that and we'll expose that in our release once it goes into production. But if by clicking on each one of these, you can see here by going down that we have the compute tray, we have the power shelf, we have the compute tray again, we have the NV link switch, again the NV link switch, and compute tray, and then of course the power shelf. So it pretty much follows the same rack configuration. If you were looking at a B200 or B100, a B300 configuration, very much different, right? But the NVL72 configurations have the same particular quadrants that we have in each of the rack configurations. We talked about this in a couple of videos back, how the rack is completely laid out. So pretty much the same with GB300. Um, we may see some differences in the type of NVL link switch that is present in the rack configuration in the next generation of releases of rack configuration. And certainly the compute tray basically changes. We've made some changes to the power shelf as well, going to a particular different vendor there. So we have here on the top here, it is actually liquid cooled, gives you the SKU name of a 250 LP and then the IP address. You can fill out the physical assets information here to the right here. And then you notice on the sub menu here, we have options here that you can select to go down and drill down more detail of what you're basically looking for. Uh, the AI supercluster, it's an option here off of the menu, so it doesn't actually get exposed in pod view. Pod view is where we expose air-cooled systems, and also we provide exposure there within Supermicro's liquid-cooled solutions, which don't follow a standard NVL72 configuration. So very much different. We've broken them up to provide you with detail of each of those rack configurations. All right, so we're going to go into the compute tray here, and we're going to see here several of them listed. And if you were to click on this option here, you can certainly connect into the compute tray of one of those servers. and then you would essentially get in there and basically sign in. Um, we also provide additional information showing power status, health, the socket count, and memory size. And we've also provided you with the ability to control those computer servers or compute devices in the compute tray by either powering them off, forcing off, restarting, so on and so forth. We also provide you with a UID that you can actually turn on to be able to locate exactly where this server is inside the shelf or in the rack. Other firmware update options here we have available. What's different about the NVL72, we do bundling now, bundling of firmware updates in BMC. A little bit different here in the configuration for Super Micro Gear. We're working on bundling of Super Micro updates in a release by the end of the year. So look out for that. We'll certainly have that for you for Super Micro servers to be able to perform bundling and BIOS and firmware compliance. And then you also have the compute tray site where you can connect into, which is basically the BMC. And then we have the detail here with Redfish information. All of the NVL72 configurations utilize OpenBMC, so they are completely supported. We have a special agent that goes out, collects that data based on endpoint discovery, and then packages it up into a enterprise-grade solution, which is completely unified for those DevOps administrators to make those data-driven decisions and get those systems up back and operational as quickly as possible in the event there is a failure. So a compute tray is there. And if you want to look at detailed information here in the navigation view, you can do so by looking there. And then you notice here that the tray, or I should say the navigation view on the left-hand side actually changes, right? And by clicking on the location here, we can see detailed information about the physical assets of this computer or compute tray server. And we show information here with BIOS, BMC, and CPU count, so on and so forth, memory size. All of that is available to you. And then we can go down and look at processor related information here for such as a Grace type model, a processor, and the number of cores here. And let's go down to memory here. We see memory location information here too as well, such as location, part number, size, device type, serial number, and manufacturer. And then we also expose GPU information here to indicate GPUs that are installed here as well. And we're working through this particular bug here to basically expose the type of GPU that should be in there. It should also show the type of model number of the GPU. So we'll get them to fix that because it looks like it's not showing up here. And then we also have sensor data that we're still working through and providing in the next phases of the release. All right, so let's go back here and look at the CDU. The CDU itself is at the bottom of the rack, always in rack slot unit 1. Doesn't change with a B200 or B300 configuration versus an NVL72 configuration. Providing you a carousel view on the top here to give you sensor data or what's happening with this particular CDU. And then by clicking on the navigation here, you can see here by when I place my mouse into the carousel view, the scrolling stops, right? And I can go and look at coolant return temperature, coolant supply temperature here. And if I remove my mouse from that carousel view, it will continue to scroll every 5 seconds. Let's look at the sensor data on the left-hand side here pane. We see the various different states of various pumps and valves. And we also have external leak sensor, which is in this case is disconnected, but we will have that capability within our CDU to report that. And then we also have the coolant return temperature and various different temperature sensors that are provided within this particular view. All right. So if we scroll down, we see other values here, such as humidity, coolant return rate, dew point, heat dissipated, so on and so forth. So all this sensor data is available to you. All right. So let's go back to the menu of the supercluster AI. Click here again, and then we've talked about the compute tray. So let's go down into the power shelf. You can see here our power shelves are available, and we can also control those power shelves on and off. And we're using Lightin as the technology vendor that we're working with power shelf configurations. All right, so let's click here and let's look at a power shelf. You'll notice the power shelf has a lightning bolt to indicate it is the icon here to provides the identifier of what it is. All of them are basically on the left-hand side icons to show you what they are, such as a computer, an NV-link switch, and then also a lightning bolt to represent a power shelf. So we'll click on the power shelf option here, and we'll see physical asset information here, showing you serial number, form factor, manufacturer, and firmware version. And then if we click on the navigation view, we can see other detailed information, such as the power supply units, the various different slots they're in, what state they're in, serial number, health, model number, firmware version, so on and so forth. And then we also will see sensor data when it's available, when we'll be able to expose that within the next release. All right, so that's the power shelf. And the last one we need to look at is the NV-link switch. We click here, and we see again information about the NV-link switch. We click on the navigation view. We can look at port information, which was supplied in our release. And then we also provide sensor reading information too as well, which we're working through to expose. So that completes the entire GB300 configuration. In this release, we'll be exposing phase 1, which is focused on the compute tray and the NV-link. In later releases, which will be in the 3.12, we'll continue with phase 2 and phase 3 to bring out additional features and also sensor data in the release, which will be at the end of the year. Thanks for joining today. We'll see you next time.